All right, so welcome. So I'm excited to have to have Josh and Justin from Raden, who are respectively CEO and head of product. They are building an awesome line of connected luggage. So we're going to talk about all of this, but maybe for context, we're going to start with a video showing the product in action. If you can.
The moving walkway is ending.
All right, very cool. Very cool. All right, so we're going to talk about all of this. Maybe actually, since we just seen the product in action, do you want to start maybe just talking about the product, and then we'll talk about the company, we'll talk about the journey and how you've been building the product and the company and all the things, but maybe let's start with the product itself.
Sure.
What is it and what does it do?
Hey guys, my name is Josh. I'm not an engineer.
And also because we don't have, we have a shortage of mics, we're going to pass it on, which...
No problem. I was saying my name is Josh. I started Raden about 2 years ago. The company is now 1 week old to the public, and I'm not an engineer, but thankfully I brought one along. Justin's our head of product, and he's going to demo the product for you guys.
Cool. Yeah, so Raden is a hard-sided polycarbonate luggage. It comes in 2 sizes. This is our carry-on size. You guys can all see. I can lift it up because it's super light. But everything was custom designed by us, by Raden.
I can carry it. Always wanted
sure.
There we go.
But since this is
I'm too tired, so I'm sitting.
Since this is a techie crowd, I'm going to jump right into the smart features. So there's embedded electronics. If you spin this guy around, you'll see there is an exposed faceplate that shows 2 ports. That's connected to a 7800 milliamp battery, so you can charge stuff on the go. It also has a Bluetooth mesh location tracking feature. And on this top carry handle, there are embedded weight sensors so that when you lift the top carry handle on the app, on the Raden app, it tells you how heavy your bag is. And then there's a lot of fun stuff that we're doing on the back end, on the mobile side. So for example, with the weight sensing feature on the top carry handle, the app knows from your upcoming trip what your airline is that you're flying on and what the weight limit is for that airline. So when you lift that top carry handle, the app will tell you if you're approaching that weight limit on Delta. So if that weight limit is 50 pounds, it'll tell you whether you're approaching it, and if you go over, it'll tell you, hey, you're going to get that $100 overage fee when you get to the airport. So it prevents that really uncomfortable moment when you get to the airport and have to rearrange all of your unmentionables. Everything, again, as I mentioned on the hardware of the product, is custom designed by Raden. Everything from the wheels to the zippers to the carry handles. We went and engaged with the highest quality manufacturers in Asia. The product is made in Taiwan.
We're going to talk about this.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll get into that. But, yeah.
And so there's a battery in it. And
Yeah, we can.
The battery actually pops out. So we can open the suitcase, and you'll see you can actually pop out the battery and use it like a portable power bank and take it with you. So this is the inside of Raden. We left it very open and flexible for you to pack to maximize literally what you can pack inside of your suitcases. And then over here, the electronics live in a little pouch. I'll try and lift it up so you guys can see. It's shockproof, it's waterproof. We've done a ton of testing to make sure that it can't get damaged during the rough conditions of transit. And then if I open it up, you'll see these are the electronics. The battery literally pops out. It's got a USB-A port, micro USB for charging. You can take it with you on the go and charge all your things, and then pop it back in, and this is the Bluetooth docking that provides the location tracking.
All right, very cool, awesome. Well, this is terrific. I mean, this is really the Internet of Things is really about, especially on the consumer side, it's really about reinventing all the mundane products that we interact with on a daily basis and sort of reinventing them as connected objects and adding intelligence. So it's amazing to see how it's like, product by product, this new thing, and this is fantastic. So how did you come to this? Well, I guess, what is the entrepreneurial journey that led you to start this?
Sure. So I started working on Raden about 2 years ago in April of 2014. I had been a lawyer actually for many years, and then had gone to go work for Aldo, the footwear company, because I was always super interested in brands and merchandising and fashion and global retail, and I really had one of these career meltdowns when I was about 26 years old after you've done an MBA and a law degree, and then you practice in New York and you're miserable. So I went to go kind of find my happiness in the fashion business. And I was traveling around for Aldo for 2 years and pretty much had seen 50 airports and been on hundreds of flights launching Aldo stores in a number of markets. And having been in all those airports, I looked at what luggage looked like, and I think it just didn't resemble many of the other products from an industrial design standpoint that we all love. So it didn't resemble anything from Apple. It didn't resemble anything from Beats headphones, Fitbits, products coming out of Uniqlo, and I started to draw this kind of analysis analogy where I felt like people are seeking comfort in having the best thing, the same thing. It feels better to have the same thing than it does to have something different. And I felt like luggage was one of those categories where everybody has this weird cyborg bag. It weighs a completely different weight depending on what the materials are. It costs something different. The wheels fall off. It's just really one of these categories where industrial design and technology just have not touched it in 50 years. I also started looking at the state of kind of digital first businesses. So it was around the time Casper had launched. Obviously we'd seen Warby and Harry's and Dollar Shave Club and really these Everlane and all these kind of great businesses that launched online. And so I said, okay, I'm going to create the global bag, the global piece of ultra lightweight, ultra durable, ultra fast, ultra volume polycarbonate luggage. I'm going to imbue it with all of the great branding and design qualities of the brands that I love. And then I'm going to put it online in a box, in a packaging thing. And our box is actually over there, so you can see.
So, this question that I get in various forms after this type of events. I mean, it's a great audience with people who are technical and people who are starting businesses, and there's a bunch of people that want to start a business, and that's your perfect, case study almost of somebody. So you're a lawyer background. How do you start? I guess. How do you have this vision? What do you do next? How do you put together the team?
So the first vision was really around this global bag. As I got 6, 7, 8 weeks into it, I started thinking about Fitbit, and Fitbit was really starting its kind of hardware ascent. And I looked at the community around Fitbit, and I felt that travel was just as passionate a space as fitness. Even if you didn't travel every day, it's a super emotional, painful thing these days to get from point A to point B. And I felt there was community in that. And I started looking at all the forums on the internet, and that was really where like the IoT moment started to happen, where I said, if you could add electronics and you could build a tether between our brand and the customer, and potentially between fellow customers, if you had enough scale, you had this potential to create virality around the product. Getting back to your original question, I actually was on LinkedIn starting in April, and I found the former head of production at Tumi, and I used to go up to the Marriott Marquis every day and meet him for lunch, because he used to take the train in from New Jersey, where he lives, where Tumi is based, and I really studied everything about manufacturing luggage and who the factories were and what the quality was and why the pricing grids were the way they were and where Samsonite manufactured and Tumi and Rimowa, and that was really almost 90 days of complete study of what makes a great bag and what makes a crappy bag that will break on you after a day, and there really is, a really big difference, and why people buy A and why people buy B, and that was after I had kind of done the MBA level analysis of the luggage market.
Great. All right. So let's talk about the product and I guess the manufacturing part of it. So let's I guess take it even further. Like so the design. Like so you had the idea, you had the vision, you approached the To-Me person, you started building a team. Walk us through the whole, from the idea to when it came out. I guess 5 days ago.
Sure. So I knew I needed to get an industrial designer that could really bring my vision to life, and I obviously, I'm inspired by many, industrial design products, Dieter Rams, everybody in kind of that community, and I really actually looked at the iPhone, and I said the iPhone is a lineless thing that is really about its construction instead of any details or logos or anything else. It does have an Apple on the back. But it's really about the shape. You really can see what an iPhone looks like from 10 feet away. And so I knew in the luggage business, unlike all those clamshells and cyborgs and all the things that you see coming around the carousel, almost the best thing to do was to have nothing. So that's really, when you look at a Raden, and obviously you have to build marketing behind this and scale, but it really will be more about the lack of kind of visual flourish or logos. In fact, our logo is a derivative of the curve of the handle, which has all been, custom made for us around ergonomics and things like that. So that's really kind of where that came from. And so it actually turned out that the designer of Raden is the same designer as Beats by Dre. So I went to San Francisco, I met with designers from all over the world, and we really clicked. He really understood my vision. I don't have a big B on my product, but the shape of Beats by Dre is so iconic, and I wanted the same thing.
Great.
And so, one quick thing. One thing that was really important for us is we wanted to come out with a really fresh and modern take on luggage, which is why we went with a designer that came out of consumer electronics as opposed to the luggage industry. So it's really important. And obviously, this materialized really great because this looks very different from what you'd find from some of the other brands already on the market.
All right. So you have you have the designer, then what? So you start building prototypes and talk about the manufacturing process, how you selected the manufacturer, what they do for you.
Sure.
So this process actually started before I joined Josh, but Josh, very smartly so, went to TGA, which is the annual luggage trade show in Vegas a year ago. So this was last March 2015. And essentially, he ended up pitching one of the best, most world-renowned, hard-sided luggage manufacturers in the world. They're Taiwanese-based. I think ultimately you would agree that this was really the first testament for you to kind of pitch the idea for Raden and prove to somebody that they should invest capital and mindshare and energy into this project. That was really the liftoff.
They were the first VC.
Yeah, they were the first ones to really vet the idea and kind of put their stamp of approval. And obviously, coming from the luggage industry, again, top 3 hard-sided luggage manufacturers in the world telling you, hey, this is a great idea, was great momentum for Josh. Ultimately, from there, once you're engaged, again, with a tier 1 vendor, it's very easy to then get connected to the right people. So we were very particular about making sure we were working with, again, the best quality sub-assembly part suppliers. And through our finished good contract manufacturer, they were able to connect us and again vouch for kind of the long-term vision of Raden, and we were able to engage with those guys directly as well.
So for the electronics parts?
Sorry. So that was for all of the sub-assembly material on the luggage itself, so everything from the wheels to the bumper to the carrying handle to the zippers. On the electronics, actually, before joining Josh, I was working at a company called Raden. I was working at a company called Berkey, based in New York. I oversaw product development, got shipped out to Hong Kong, lived there for 2 years overseeing manufacturing and sourcing. So I was very familiar with the consumer electronics manufacturing space from my time at Berkey. So actually, I brought on an RF specialist for the Bluetooth portion of the electronics that I worked with previously. For the portable power part, I've also brought on a separate supplier that specialized in lithium-ion battery production. and then we kind of went to the races from there.
Yeah. And what was challenging from a technical standpoint?
Yeah, actually, from a very high level, the simplest way to say this is luggage manufacturers are not used to working with consumer electronics, and the processes for manufacturing consumer electronics and luggage are very different. Luggage factories are incredibly dirty. They require a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. Consumer electronics factories like the SMT rooms have to be incredibly clean, very organized, and the processes are totally different. So it was incredibly challenging taking those two manufacturing processes and melding them, because obviously this was a new product, a new innovative application of again, electronics into luggage, and it was basically a learning process that my team out in Hong Kong, we've got a product engineering team based in Hong Kong. We had to do a lot of hand-holding in terms of what the standard protocols are for consumer electronics and how to integrate that into the luggage contract manufacturing lines themselves.
And did you work with a consultant like a Dragon Innovation, for example, or no?
No, we did not. So we built everything ourselves. Again, because of my background from Quirky and living in Hong Kong, I had some great contacts. So I actually brought on mechanical engineers, system engineers, firmware engineers, product engineers, all in Hong Kong that had worked at Quirky, and brought them on to Raden. I will give a little caveat. Timing was a bit fortunate for us at Raden because Quirky had an unfortunate demise over the course of last year. So that was while it's sad for my departure from Quirky, it was ultimately a benefit for Raden.
Okay, very good. And so from design to shipping, it was basically a year?
Basically a year.
Yeah.
Basically 1 year.
We engaged with the contract manufacturer a year ago, and since then there's been a lot of developments, pivots, changes over the course of the last year.
I guess the thing you're not seeing here is obviously it connects to a mobile application that does all of this. And so when you download the Raden app, if you download the Raden app on the App Store, you'll really get the full tour of kind of the product functionality and also really the goal of the business. And so where the business is going is that I think the best brands in the future and the best IoT products in the future are going to nest everything from their own customer service. So if you click on the right-hand corner of a Raden app, all the customer service for the bag. So your bag is mishandled and a wheel breaks, unfortunately. Not because it's not a great bag, but sometimes this happens. Handle breaks, bag is lost. Whatever issue you have with Raden, the Raden app acts as your in-house concierge to fix it. You don't have to dial 1-888 Samsonite or any other brand and deal with a very terrible customer experience. IoT and this pairing allows you to have a better customer experience altogether.
And very much to that point, so what we've learned through all these events is that IoT products, ultimately all the value and the differentiation is around not the hardware, but the software, the experience, the community, and the data. So does this go eventually to a travel platform, a community? So you mentioned that first step, but is a vision to then become the sort of the travel platform?
Yeah, exactly that. I think we've seen a lot of apps on the App Store in the travel space. I think the general sentiment is, not only do they have hideous UI, the engagement's quite low despite millions of downloads. They're all disassociated. So we have apps that tell you what the best seat is, they tell you where your gate is, they tell you if your flight's on time, they help you buy upgrades, they tell you how to trade seats with other people, and I think the same thing I hear all the time, I use them, is that they all kind of suck, and the engagement is very low because there's no physical product that's really prompting you to engage with it much earlier in the user experience. And so for us, we really think of the packing moment at home as being kind of the point of engagement. If you let Raden into your trip, Raden can help you get there faster. So we're doing early things around, providing TSA security wait times, because that's public information on an API. No one's really packaging it very well. Weather at airports, really starting that process of building out a full utility platform. I think I'll say that we're going to live in the world of the objective. So I'm not going to become a content company that tells you the best place to stay. I don't care if you stay at an Airbnb or if you stay at a 5-star hotel. The brand is priced and is built around kind of democracy in travel, and the act of getting away and not being sedentary, just as it would be in Fitbit and not being sedentary, for us, not being sedentary means traveling and exploring and doing things and helping you get there faster.
All right, the last question from me, because I want people to have time to ask questions. One other thing we learned through these events is that it's very hard to get a product to ship, and so congratulations on this. But it's also fairly hard to win the retail part of the equation. So it's easy-ish enough to get traction on online sales, but at the end of the day, it's not what truly moves units. So I'm curious, and realizing that all of this is very new, what are your thoughts in terms of retail strategy?
Sure. I think it starts really with the brand build, and I think just to even give you insight into why I'm not on crowdfunding or anything else like that, and I think those are great platforms. Access to capital has always been difficult. It's getting more difficult. I really didn't believe I could build a brand that straddled the fashionability technology line very well if I had to go I guess, borrow money from the customers I sought to delight. And so we really have stayed super stealth. We raised capital from VC and even through early angels who have been in e-commerce businesses. And then that really bleeds through to our entire kind of retail strategy in building a brand that's really about being an excellent hardware company. So a hardware company in the likes of an Apple for travel or a Dyson for vacuum cleaner, home cleaning. And so even when we looked at kind of building the margin profile, it's really not about being direct to consumer. I don't personally really believe in direct to consumer. Having worked at Aldo, I could say definitely that the mall is a great place to be discovered. Even for a new brand, it's a great place to be discovered. So we're really looking at innovative, I would say, retail models. Luggage is a product that most retailers don't really actually want to stock, even the types of retailers we want, because it's so big and bulky. So we're looking at alternate models around consignment and fulfillment. So we would still use Raden.com as the fulfillment, and you'd be able to receive the bags in 1 or 2 or 3 business days, depending on where you live in this country and other countries. And we're looking at really iconic showcase models around shop fit with certain retailers, and it will launch in actually Q3 of this year. And we actually have a space in Soho right now that kind of provides a bit of an insight into what our retail strategy would be, and it's on Spring Street between Crosby and Lafayette. Yeah.
Very cool, thank you. All right, do we have questions? Lots of questions. You guys can.
Sure.
Gentleman over there.
Have you had any issues getting through airport security? I know there was an incident with similar luggage that they thought it was a bomb. There were like electronics and a battery and things like that.
Yeah, so we've taken really great pains around that. So about a year and a half ago, I brought on the former Secretary of Transportation in the United States to get involved in this. And really everything Justin has worked on and the team has worked on around the battery size, the regulatory environment, and all the notifications on the bag around that are completely flight safe and legal, and wires and nothing is exposed or anything like that. And so really the messaging here is this product is completely safe for travel. It's completely certified. I think one of the key differences with the competitor I think you're talking about is this was completely designed modularly. So the battery actually pops in and out. It's much smaller than that. And so it really is around the flexibility of just being able to say, taking the battery out if you have an issue. And I think where there's been friction has been that the TSA agents are not really trained yet to have these things go through, but we've had beta tests running with hundreds of people, and so far, no problems.
No problem.
Not yet.
Yes, all right. Very good.
What was the biggest change you had to make in terms of either the design or the electronics when you were developing them? And what prompted the change
I'll say on the design side, and Justin could probably talk more about the electronics. I think one of the things that's going to separate great IoT brands, or anybody that's going to integrate electronics into anything, because I think you can almost turn anything into an animate thing if it was inanimate, is kind of the empathy and the human factor. And I looked at a number of other things that you could put in the bag. So you could have put a biometric lock or some type of digital lock. My testing of it, even before Justin joined me, was that the technology wasn't really that useful. It's just as easy to have your fingers put 3 letter or numbers on the bag as it is to digitally enter it. And it just wasn't there. It wasn't developed. The luggage is an item that actually gets knocked around, so it's not like an August lock or something like that. It really needed to be designed to increase delight and not create more electronics problems for users. I think that was really a lot around the thinking. We really decided to go with the most empathetic things that would make travelers' lives easier. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on one specific point. So the original design for the electronics enclosure was different. We did a ton of testing at our luggage manufacturers' testing facilities around the rough conditions of transit. And we had a number of problems with electronics getting damaged, wires breaking, etc. So we ultimately went through a bunch of iterations to the design that we currently have, and this has been the most reliable design. It's got a very sturdy metal backplate for the pouch. The pouch, again, it's shockproof, it's waterproof. But that was something that took months of work and iterations to really perfect in order to really make sure that it was safe.
That's actually the prototype. So if you guys afterwards, you're welcome
and just
to look at it. It's different inside completely. Yeah.
This is the unit I've been traveling around with since September. It's been to 6 countries around the world. I have over all of my flights, again around 20 flights in total with this bag. I have only been asked by TSA to open it once. I showed them the inside, I showed them the battery pops out. That was the end of the questioning.
All right, very cool. All right, one more question as a gentleman in the back.
How were you able to get the manufacturer to take you seriously? I mean, they're a major manufacturer, so what did you have at the time?
Yeah, so at the time, I guess, I had gone to the luggage shows in both Germany and in Vegas, but the first person I hired was the head of all production at Toomey, and so he had personally made, I think, over $1 billion of POs in his career with this manufacturer over the course of decades. It's a publicly traded luggage factory. They're really one of the top in the world.
How did you get them?
He is a lovely retired man who lives in New Jersey and who was looking for something to do in his later career. And I really just kind of drove to his house and started talking to him and telling him about my idea. And he kind of, at the time, I mean, it was like April.
Did he know you were coming, or
what?
Did he know when?
Yeah, I didn't scare anybody. Nobody. There are no lives lost in the making of Raden. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, and just to piggyback on that, it was a similar experience with the electronics manufacturer we worked with.
Yeah, they know Justin. They love Justin. Yeah.
Directly. So I think both of these anecdotes kind of echo the same thing. I think if you find somebody that has had the experience engaging with these manufacturers directly, it made a world of difference.
Even a final note on even the cap raise, I had spoken to VCs about Raden for over a year. I wasn't really raising money. I knew I was going to have to roll in a robust prototype, but I'll say, any entrepreneur, build those relationships, factories, electronic, doesn't matter what it is. And if you show them that you can do something with nothing, with no money, and you continue to make progress, continue to check in, it was easier. I would not say it's ever easy to raise any money, but it was easier to raise money after I had spent a year in the woods and shown them the progress almost month by month, saying, hey, here's the bag. What do you think we can do with this? So it's really all relationships, everything.
All right, on that note, thank you very much, guys.